You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to have you with me here today. Looking forward to getting into our Friday review. Some great research coming at you today. One of my favorite food-based nutritional supplements that, yes, it's a nutritional supplement, even though we think of it as simply a food. A podcast that I recently did that I think you'll really enjoy tuning into. And then, of course, we'll go over our lab result test of the week. So what we're trying to do each and every Friday review is empower you with the ability to take back control of your health through education. So at the end of each of our Friday reviews, last year in 2018, every Friday we went through a super nutrient or super food of the week, and it was all sorts of herbs and foods and how these things truly affect your health. Well, today and the past about 6 or 7 Fridays, starting in 2019, we've been going over lab results. So a lot of times when you get your lab results in, you're simply told, okay, everything is within range, or everything looks normal, or we're just going to keep an eye on this. So what I intend to do is essentially open source all of this information so that you know as much as on these lab tests, a lot of the practitioners you're working with. And that's not to put down a practitioner or anything like that, but it's simply to understand it at a deeper level. And I believe that if you take a true want and, really interest in your own health, well, that is the way not only will you get healthy, as you'll see in some of the research today, but you'll stay healthy for life. And that's really what it's all about. So I think sometimes, a lot of the things that I can say or have said on the Cabral Concept could be that there's one best way, or that I don't believe in certain types of medicine. That's actually not true. I believe in all forms of medicine, but I believe in helping people more than any ego in medicine at all. So if I see something that I don't like, or I don't believe it's in the best interest of people, I simply speak up about that, and I will never change that at all. What I intend to do is just share with people how I believe they can use conventional medicine in acute-based instances. They can even use pharmaceuticals if they need to in life-saving based conditions. I understand that, I get that, and I believe in that. But when it comes to helping people heal from all the chronic inflammatory-based conditions of our day, and that includes mentally and physically, with emotions in there as well, we need to look at something deeper. And no, it's not just nutritional supplements. It is about living what I call the de-stress protocol. It's using all of those 8 parts that I've spoken about in the rain barrel effect in order to truly integrate your life with lifestyle, the food, the diet, the exercise, which is the movement, right? The detoxification, the emotional balance, the success mindset. And yes, there are nutritional supplements in order to help replace your deficiencies and remove a lot of those toxicities. And then you just maintain from there. So that's, again, one of 8 parts. We need all of the parts working together. Now, the nice thing is this. I would always want people to be about 80%, not 100% in anything. That's okay. I don't need you to be 100%. I can't be 100% either. But 80% in all of those 8 areas rather than 100% in 1 or 2. So it is about truly reaching homeostasis with the body, about achieving equilibrium and being able to understand that if you're balanced in most areas of your life, then when stress does enter your life at a higher level or something does happen, you have a better buffering system. So that's my rant, I guess, for today. Let's move right on to the podcast. So before we start the research and I give you my reviews and I go over the lab results and all the fun things, I always like to give you just a little bit about what's going on in the practice, what we've been seeing a lot of lately, any special offers that we have going over at Equilibrium. And today being the day after Valentine's Day, we have decided to extend our offer by popular demand. That was it. Basically, what my team did over at Equilibrium Nutrition, they put together all sorts of fun offers each and every week, typically. Sometimes it's not every week, but they did a 2-for-1, buy 2 daily nutritional chocolate shake powders and get 1 free. It's a phenomenal deal. And if they say okay, then I'm absolutely all for it. So it's $39.95 value. And we've extended that. I believe it's today and tomorrow. So I believe it's 48 more hours. It was super popular. People love it. And we believe the daily nutritional support powder, if you do nothing else, you get all of your vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, detox-based components, and 15 grams of hyperallergenic vegan-based protein. There's no soy, there's no corn, there's no nuts, there's no eggs, there's no dairy, there's no gluten. It is a truly hypoallergenic product and absolutely phenomenal for children and adults. So we're big proponents of that. Of course, all the methylated vitamins are in there, and that is going on at least for today and I believe tomorrow as well. So 48 more hours. Check that out over at equilibriumnutrition.com. So excited that so many people were interested in that promotion, and we thought it'd be fun to give away the chocolate with Valentine's Day, trying to do something like a healthier spin on that since Valentine's Day is such a commercialized holiday. And even though it is such a commercial-based holiday made up by Hallmark and whoever else made it up to try to sell cards and chocolates and all those things, it's just nice to have a day where you say, okay, it's Valentine's Day, and I am going to maybe show a little extra love to those people in my life that I care so much about. So that part, of course, I'm all for. And if I have even more of a reason to, show my wife and my 2 young girls and my mother, a little extra appreciation, then that's good for me as well. That keeps me in that mindset. But that's the reason we put together that offer, and so I just wanted to tie that into it as well. A couple of other things is that we are beginning level 2 next week of the Integrative Health Practitioner Program. Super excited about that. We've had a bunch of people graduate from level 1, the certification Integrative Health Practitioner. Yes, it will be opening. We will have another separate private Facebook group for all of the level 2 people, so they can be in both of the private groups for level 1 and level 2. And level 2 will be all about teaching you how to read your own lab tests, your family's lab tests, and be able to one day offer that service as a health coach as well. So super exciting. The curriculum, I believe, is second to none. Of course, I'm biased, but I've been through a lot of the certifications. I've done a lot of them. And this is the next level. This is like truly the future of true health care, in my opinion. Not sick care, but health care. We're going to look at all of the underlying root cause imbalances. And it's hard not to not know what to do when you see all of these toxicities people have, whether it's heavy metals or candida overgrowth or SIBO or H. pylori like we spoke about earlier in the week, or parasites. Well, if they're there, you have to get rid of them. They don't go away on their own. Like, that's the thing. They don't go away on their own. And if you just use antibiotics, well, you're going to get rid of it temporarily. And then there's going to simply be a relapse in about what I see in my practice, 6 to 8 weeks. So you get a couple months of relief, and then it's back. And it's not any better. And oftentimes we become antibiotic resistant. So super excited to be teaching that. That's going to be some next level material. And we'll be releasing those modules every 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the depth of that module. Look for that in the future. Somewhere about 4 months or so from now, our very first level 2 IHP graduates will be graduating from that certification. So excited about that and can't wait to introduce them to all of you. So let's get into now a couple of the what's been going on, and then also my nutritional food-based supplement that I want to share with you this week. And so I was on one podcast, I believe, just over the last week, and that was the Mindfulness Mode. So a lot of you have appreciated just me trying to share with you other shows that I've done, and I love promoting other podcasts. I love the podcasting industry. It's obviously been, a nice home for me, very good to me, and I love just the space. I listen to other podcasts, and I'm a huge advocate. So on episode 400 of Mindfulness Mode, I was on with Bruce Langford. Really great host. He's been doing this for quite some time, and he was nice enough to have me on his show. We spoke about how to get well, basically how to turn your life around, getting well, losing that weight, feeling alive again in 21 days, but then also not stopping after that 21-day period, continuing on in order to heal yourself at a deeper level so that you don't continue to get sick, or you don't relapse, or you don't gain back the weight. So That's what we really spoke about. It was a great show, and I will link all of that up today at episode 1106. So head on over to stephencabral.com/1106 for today's show, and we will link up that podcast as well. And we will link up our product review of the week, which this week is going to be Manuka Honey, and a very special type of raw Manuka honey. And that's something with what's called KFactor in it. And I would like to explain that to you and how that's different from a regular raw honey. Okay, so let's get into what is Manuka honey. And simply put, Manuka honey is raw honey. It's been unpasteurized, uncooked. That comes from the Manuka plant. But there's a grading system that's used in New Zealand that talks about the purity of the Manuka honey. So I thought that was important for you to look up because a lot of people confuse this KFactor, it's called, with the antibacterial properties of it. So let's just go over why is Manuka honey so great in the first place? Well, all raw honey is fantastic. Manuka honey is just a different strength, and it's being studied right now as an even stronger, more potent antiviral, anti-inflammatory, as well as antioxidant. So the body gets a lot of benefits from using what we call natural medicine. In Ayurveda, they considered honey medicine. So it wasn't a food, but it was considered medicine. So when I was in Sri Lanka, and I was in the back room, basically, and I was helping to make different herbal medicines, we would actually roll the herbs with honey, raw honey. Now, it wasn't Manuka honey, but we would use honey, raw honey. And we would also sometimes use ghee. Now, here's the crazy thing. In our modern day state-of-the-art society, we talk about these things called liposomals, right? Liposomal glutathione, liposomal vitamin C. And there's no doubt those are fantastic, right? Well, guess what they were doing in Ayurvedic medicine 6,000 years ago before any of this was known? They were using ghee. They were using ghee as a liposomal methodology in order to get these herbs or certain types of vitamins into people the same exact way, except they were using ghee. And ghee is considered medicine, medicinal food in Ayurvedic medicine. Same with honey. Why would they use honey? Well, honey has the glucose, well, it has fructose as well, the sugars, and the antiviral and the anti-inflammatory based properties in order to get these into the cell as well. So many people put down sugar in general, but the body needs glucose. Here's the interesting thing. If you attach herbs and other factors that you want to get into the cell, it is also easier done with some glucose. And they're experimenting with this right now with anti-cancer based methodologies in natural medicine. What are they using? Well, they're using sugar. Why would they use sugar? Cancer cells feed on sugar, on glucose. So what they're doing is they're binding this sugar with other molecules that would then kill the cancer cells. So I always like to just say things are not black and white. Anybody that tells you, oh, this is bad, you have to always just ask why. Like why or what situation or for who. Because it's not a black and white. So let me just give you a little bit more about Manuka honey. Manuka honey is something I started using maybe 3 years ago now instead of just regular raw honey. I spoke about this earlier in the week on my H. pylori show, basically how to remove bloating, burping, acid reflux, nausea, etc. And if you haven't listened to that show, definitely tune back into it. It was a popular show. So here's why I've been doing it. I've been doing it for that medicinal-based effect. It works on, and although I don't have these now, I've had them in the past. I've had C. diff in the past. I've had E. coli overgrowth in the past. And I've had H. pylori in the past. Well, one of the nice things about Manuka honey is it helps coat, soothe the stomach mucosa, but it has also been shown to kill Clostridium difficile, which can happen after antibiotic use. Just so happens I used a lot of antibiotics, when I was a kid. So it helps with that. It helps with acne, and you can use it topically as well as internally. It's been shown to help with cystic fibrosis. It has been shown to help with all inflammatory-based issues, including allergies as well, some asthma in there. Another thing I like to mention with the benefits of the Manuka honey is applying it directly to wounds or cuts because of its anti-inflammatory but also antimicrobial properties. So it helps to kill the microbes there that we don't want. Helps with overall oral health. So a lot of people talk about, oh, well, sugar is bad. You have to understand, not all sugar is created equal. Processed sugar, yes, none of us want processed sugar. We're not talking about that. But are we talking about fruit, natural fruit? Are we talking about natural raw honey, not cooked honey, not processed honey? All of those things can be great. Great for a sore throat, right? So if anybody's dealing with a cough or sore throat, why? Well, a couple reasons. It coats it, it soothes it, it's an anti-inflammatory. It's also a natural cough suppressant. But it's been shown that Manuka honey, which is antibacterial as well, has been shown to kill certain strains of streptococcus, strep throat. So interesting to look at that as well. Now, when's the best time to use it? The best time to use it is during that strep and flu and cold-based season. That's a great time of the year to use it. So I typically use these things during the winter and early spring. Helps with digestive issues. I spoke a little bit about that with H. pylori and the C. diff. So a good overall product. Most of the great products are made in New Zealand for Manuka honey. And just a difference, because you're going to see a difference. There's two brands. There's two types called KFactor 12 and KFactor 16. KFactor 16 is going to be a bit more expensive. Why would it be more expensive? Here's why. It's called monoflora manuka. That is the KFactor 16. And that's because the majority of the Manuka honey in the KFactor 16 came from the Manuka plant, which is called the Lectospermum scoparium. And that just is from Manuka. We'll call it Manuka. It's probably easier for me to say. And what is the difference? Well, there's more pollen in it from the Manuka plant. Now, the KFactor 12 is a little bit more diverse. It's called multifloral. What does that mean? Well, it means from different plant-based sources. Some of them being from the Manuka plant. Still a significant amount. Okay, the bees are still getting a lot of that good Manuka-based pollen and nutrients, but they do come from other sources, where the KFactor 16 is not 100%, because bees are not going to stick to the one plant, but the vast majority is going to be that. So I try to stick with the KFactor 16. It is more expensive. Remember, it's a supplement, not a food, right? I mean, yes, it's a food, but like we start to get a little strange in these things. If you put oregano on a dish, like a dinner, right? You add some oregano to it or some rosemary or thyme. Is it food or a supplement? If you were to take it and then you would put it inside a capsule, does it now become a food or a supplement, right? So there's a gray line there. It's not black and white. Either way, food and supplements are both great. So why don't we look at it as just being great? But you don't just sit there and eat honey. Honey is, in my opinion, a great medicinal-based food and one that you can have on a daily basis. How much? You don't need too much. If you're dealing with a specific issue, you might have 1 to 2 teaspoons 1 to 2 times per day. That's if you're dealing with ulcers or other issues that I spoke about previously. I simply do 1 teaspoon per day. That's it. And I find it absolutely fantastic. It has a very different taste to it, not overly sweet. So check that out. It's something that I give my girls during the winter as well, my 2 daughters. All right, let's move on. I will link that up today at 1106, the same brand that I use myself out of New Zealand. Okay, and I'll link up both the KFactor 12 and KFactor 16 in case people want a little less expensive variety. Always happy to do that as well. Let's go over a little bit of research. Love going over the research, especially when it's hilarious that there's so many MDs, doctors out there that say that there's no research behind nutritional supplements. Kind of always blows my mind, but if you ever have an MD or anybody, it doesn't matter who, say that, oh, there's no research behind it and it's all just going to come out in your urine, or they usually just say you're just going to pee it out. Well, that's not true, okay? I mean, like, it's unbelievable. You can find any research on any nutritional supplement that you would like published in real journals, such as this one, New England Journal of Medicine, one of the most prestigious journals in the entire world on modern day medicine, right? This is not just talking about naturopathy or any of those things, which, by the way, naturopathy is state of the art. But anyway, let's go into it. This just came out in November 2018, so only about 90 days or, just a little bit more than that right now. And it's funny because the study went into, and this is why there's such a different mindset between conventional medicine and naturopathic or integrative, and here's why. The studies showed that they just did vitamin D and omega studies. So this is the trial that they were doing. It was over 25,000 people, so it's clinically significant. They found that there wasn't a great change in people with already healthy triglyceride, cholesterol, and cancer-based markers. They said, oh, well, that's kind of strange. And, well, they didn't really improve. Well, I was asking, well, what are you looking for? I mean, like, I always laugh at that. They didn't get what? Even better cholesterol levels? That's because your cholesterol isn't supposed to be lower. It's supposed to be normal cholesterols. And triglycerides aren't supposed to be 20. They're supposed to be around like 75, right? So it's always funny to me. It's like, no, you do the right things and you continue to be healthy. I still eat well, exercise, take my supplements, do my seasonal every 12-week detox, like all of these things, work on my mindset so that I don't slide backwards and get all of the other issues and then have to use the supplement. No, you just keep yourself healthy. That's the whole thing. You're healthy on your lab work and you're healthy in real life, and that's the goal. So you keep doing the things that got you there. But the tests were very conclusive, and they were very excited about the research. So let me just show you. Almost a 30% reduction in heart attacks with people taking fish oil compared to the placebo. So that's massively significant. That's not just, that's not like slight clinical significance, meaning like, oh, there was a little bump over the placebo and versus then the controlled group that did nothing, right? So usually there's a control, there's a placebo, which they're given just something that might look like fish oil, but nothing in it. Then there's the fish oil group. Well, this is a 30% reduction. That's massive. I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal. So, a cardiovascular-based condition, you can't deny the power of fish oil, but we've known that for a long time. 40% reduction of heart attacks in the fish oil group. I mean, that's enormous. Who had less than 1.5 servings of fish per week. And even more dramatic among African Americans. So I've said this for a long time. So the way that you know your omega-3 levels, it's plain and simple. You can test them. You run an omega-3 test. I will try to link that up in today's show notes. I hope that I remember this. Let me see if I can make a note at 1106 today. So you can easily test your levels. It's hands down, anyone over the age of 35 has to run their omega-3 levels, in my opinion. You just need to know if your current diet is enough or if the fish oil you're taking is enough. It's one of the most significant things that you could do because the studies have shown that if you keep your omega-3s at a saturation of 9% in the blood, you will have a 90% risk reduction rate of heart attack. 90%. And it's the number one cause of death. So imagine that if we could just take out the number one cause of death in European and American-based countries, right? It's just, these things are straightforward, and we're not doing them. It blows my mind. And so the only people that I've ever seen pass that test without supplementation are those people eating 4 or more servings a week of sardine, anchovy, wild salmon, mackerel, or trout. Okay, all high omega-3 fish. If you're doing whitefish and you're doing other things like that, not enough omega-3s, okay? So even on a vegan-based diet, because there's a lot of omega-6s in plant-based foods as well. That's what I found is just keeping your saturation levels high enough. Now, if you want to do it all food-based, you can. You can do the sardines and anchovies and wild salmon and trout and mackerel, and I've said that, like that's great. But you have to do it minimum of 3, ideally 4 times a week. And since those are smaller fish and the salmon being a little bit larger but a vegetarian fish, it's not going to have the higher levels of mercury. So you can do it either way, but get your omega-3s. Okay, here's what I want to look at. Reduction in the rate of cancer deaths 2 or more later in people who took vitamin D. This study reaffirms the safety of both vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids. It does not change decades of research showing how critical vitamin D and omega-3 supplementation are for overall health. And this was written in the New England Journal of Medicine, which is a conventional medicine publication. So every time a doctor says there's no studies on nutritional supplements, you can just say, okay, I appreciate your input. That's it. And then do your own thing. But remember, your MD is there for you to help you with all of the acute-based situations, run your annual labs, make sure that there aren't other issues. You go to your dermatologist and you say, do I have anything that looks like it might be potential skin cancer risk? So I'm not saying that we don't need that. We do. But don't get your nutritional supplement and diet advice from people that haven't been taught about nutritional supplements and diet. That's all. Again, I'm not going to perform open heart surgery on anyone. That is not my area of expertise, nor would I ever try to step out of my zone. That's it, or my lane. For sure, I won't do that. All right, that's it for that. Let's move on to our lab result of the week that I would like to bring you. Just a real quick one this week, and to be honest, it's so overlooked. I'll talk about this more in the future, but I just want to do a really simple one. If you're suffering from allergies, asthma, fatigue, headaches, general malaise, or skin rashes. Or if you have a child that has ADD, ADHD, or some type of outburst, temper, etc. It very well could be because of high copper levels in their body. Okay, why does that matter? Here's why. It's extremely easy to reverse and fix. We looked at it as cryptopyroles. That's probably a little bit more advanced that we're going to talk about on today's show. I used to run that about 6 to 7 years ago in my practice quite often. The reason I stopped running it is because it was a single test, and I like to do multivariate tests, and the answer was give zinc. The answer was introduce a little bit more magnesium. The answer was add a little bit more B vitamins, namely B6. And the turnarounds in children and adults with neurological, with learning, with ADD, ADHD, insomnia was tremendous. So what I want you to do, and this is only if it suits you, and you can do this with any practitioner around you, or you can run it over at equilibriumnutrition.com, and I will read that lab for you, is you will run a hair tissue mineral analysis on yourself, on your children, whoever it might be, and you'll look to see if there's an elevated copper level. Now, this is an excretion of copper. Here's the interesting thing. It could be from copper exposure. It could be from copper pipes that are leaking in the house. It could be from other copper-based sources. And I'm not sure if we've done a show on copper toxicity sources, but if not, I'll certainly do a follow-up on that because I do want to help with that, as well. But, for the most part, we're not going to overload our systems on copper from food. So what we want to look at is some type of contamination, and that's what we would look at. And, again, like there are other things such as contaminated grains and contaminated water, but I'll tell you right now, a lot of times it's because of depleted zinc. So we don't look much of the time at balance within the body. And if there's not enough zinc, it simply allows copper to begin to accumulate. And that's how it affects the body. Does it happen overnight? No. But why would zinc become, I was just about to say deaccumulated. Why would zinc become depleted? Because zinc is used as an antifungal, an antimicrobial. It helps with the chelation and removal of heavy metals in the body. It's used for the immune system. It's used for stress. It's used for tissue repair. It's used for hormones. So you can see zinc is such a vital nutrient in the body. It's an anabolic nutrient that as it gets used up, and we simply don't get enough in our diet, as it gets used up, you start to become depleted of zinc, and then it allows copper to rise. So what do? Well, we supplement with zinc through good food and a nutritional supplement. The nutritional supplement with zinc we could just use for 12 weeks, and then we begin to just keep the zinc levels high, and that's it. So that's why some of these things don't have to be super complicated, but you have to know if the toxicity exists. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Maybe now is the right time to run a hair tissue mineral analysis with your local practitioner or with us over at equilibriumnutrition.com, or maybe it's not. And that's okay as well. Maybe you just want to start to use some zinc, right? How much zinc should you use? I can't give you that recommendation because I don't know the level of zinc to copper imbalance, right? So that matters. The higher the copper, the lower the zinc, the more zinc you're going to supplement with. Every day in the daily nutritional support shake, we give you that 15 milligrams or so, okay? And it's balanced with a good amount of copper, just the proper ratio, which is about a 9-to-1. And the reason why it's there is because you need copper in your body. You need that, especially for thyroid, for mitochondrial health, for energy. So we always want to balance. We don't want to deplete one or the other. But then what you would do is with the daily nutritional support shake or your activated multivitamin, you would add more zinc on top of it, 15 to 30 milligrams extra for adults. If you were to use more than that, you would have to work with a practitioner. And then for children, what we're going to do is we're simply going to cut that amount in half, right? So we'll do somewhere around 5 to 10 milligrams. So that is it. That is what I wanted to give you for today. I hope all of this is beginning to kind of pull together with each and every Friday review with these lab results. And we'll continue to keep on keeping on and bring you more of those each and every week. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Head on over to stephencabral.com/1106 for all of the links for today, the podcast I was on, the Manuka, KFactor 16, KFactor 2, which is just fun to say, the research on the omega-3s. I'll link up some great omega-3s for you there as well. For children, for adults, the liquid, the capsules. I'll link up the hair tissue mineral analysis as well. Hopefully this has all been helpful. If it has, please do feel free to share this show with anyone else it could serve. Take care, everyone. Be sure to tune back tomorrow for our Cabral House Calls. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.